Hi everyone, welcome back to DGMZ, Diwan-e-Ghalib, Meri Zubani. To all our returning viewers, we are delighted you could join us again. And for the new viewers, we are happy you discovered the podcast and decided to tune in for the first time. Now, if you were with me in the previous episode, you know that we finished Ghazal 21 last time. Ye na thi hamari kismat. It was a grand ghazal. We took 11 weeks to finish it, and now you can enjoy the ghazal in totality via a dedicated playlist which you can find on the homepage of the channel. What that also means is today we get to start a new ghazal. Ghazal 22 from Diwan-e-Ghalib. Hawas ko hai Nashaat-e-Kar kya. Now, as always, I'm going to read the ghazal first in entirety, and then we will get into the impressions verse by verse. So this is how it goes. Matla अर्ज किया है, हवस को है नशात-ए-कार क्या क्या, हवस को है नशात-ए-कार क्या क्या, ना हो मरना तो जीने का मजा क्या। तजाहुल-पेशगी से मुद्दा क्या, तजाहुल-पेशगी से मुद्दा क्या, कहाँ तक ए सरापा नाज क्या क्या। नवाजिश-हाए-बेजा देखता हूँ, नवाजिश-हाए-बेजा देखता हूँ, शिकायत-हाए-रंगी का गिला क्या। निगाह-ए-बे-महाबा चाहता हूँ, निगाह-ए-बे-महाबा चाहता हूँ, तगाफुल-हा-ए-तमकीन-आज़मा क्या। फरोग-ए-शोला-ए-खास यक-नफस है, फरोग-ए-शोला-ए-खास यक-नफस है, हवस को पास-ए-नामुस-ए-वफा क्या। नफस मौज-ए-मुहित-ए-बे-खुदी है, नफस मौज-ए-मुहित-ए-बे-खुदी है, तगाफुल-हा-ए-साक़ी का गिला क्या। दिमाग-ए-इत्र-ए-पायराहान नहीं है, दिमाग-ए-इत्र-ए-पायराहान नहीं है, ग़म-ए-आवारगी-हा-ए-सबा क्या। दिल-ए-हर-कतरा है साज़-ए-अनल-बहर, दिल-ए-हर-कतरा है साज़-ए-अनल-बहर, हम उसके हैं हमारा पूछना क्या। मुहाबा क्या है मैं ज़ामिन इधर देख, मुहाबा क्या है मैं ज़ामिन इधर देख, शहीद-ने निगाह का खून बहा क्या। सुन ए करात गरे जिनसे वफा सुन, सुन ए गरात गरे जिनसे वफा सुन, शिकस्ताए शीशाए दिल की सदा क्या। किया किसने जिगरदारी का दावा, किया किसने जिगरदारी का दावा, शकीबे खातिरे आशिक भला क्या। ये कातिल वादाए सब्र आजमा क्यों, ये कातिल वादाए सब्र आजमा क्यों, ये काफिर फितनाए ताकत रुबा क्या। मक्तर्ज किया है, बलाए जां है गालिब उसकी हर बात, बलाए जां है गालिब उसकी हर बात, इबारत क्या इशारत क्या अदा क्या। हवस को है नशात-ए-कार क्या क्या, ना हो मरना तो जीने का मजा क्या. So that was the entire narration of the Ghazal. We will now proceed to get into verse by verse impressions. So the first couplet. हवस को है नशात-ए-कार क्या क्या, ना हो मरना तो जीने का मजा क्या. Let's do an approximate translation, right? So Hawas is lust, desire. So the first line, Hawas ko hai nashaat-e-kar kya kya, translates to what kind of joys from various actions does desire or lust have? multiple joys from various actions desire and lust has. And then in the second line, na ho marna to jeene ka maza kya, is pretty straightforward. If we would not die, then what is the joy in living? So that's a very basic approximate translation. Let's pick up the key words of the couplet quickly. So Hawas. Hawas translates to lust, greed, desire, curiosity. And for all these meanings, there is one underlying specific quality that exists, and that is this unquenchable, insatiable, unstoppable, inextinguishable quality. The more you give it, the more it wants. It's not easy to end Hawas. It is not easy to satisfy Hawas. So, to capture the essence of Hawas, let's get into this one Sher by John Elia, which gives us insight into this insatiable quality of Hawas, right? एक ही तो हवस रही है हमें, एक ही तो हवस रही है हमें, अपनी हालत तबाह की जाए. So the basic translation is, throughout my life there is this one desire, this one greed, this one lust that I've had to self-destruct myself, by extension to indulge in activities which will lead to my self-destruction. And then Ahmad Faraz का ये बहुत प्यारा शेर, again capturing the essence of this word. पहले पहले हवस एक आध दुकान खोलती है, पहले पहले हवस एक आध दुकान खोलती है, फिर तो बाजार के बाजार से लग जाते हैं. So the approximate translation is that initially Hawas will open one shop here, one shop there, very scanty coverage if you may. But then before you know, you can see bazaars and bazaars of lust and greed coming up quickly, in quick succession, which is a very innate quality of this phenomena of lust and greed. Moving on to the next word, Nashaat-e-Kar. So two parts, Nashaat and Kar. Nashaat translates to joy, pleasure, contentment, satisfaction. And इस पे तो अपने मिर्ज़ा गालिब का एक बहुत प्यारा शेर है, ले गए खाक में हम दागे तमन्नाए नशात, ले गए खाक में हम दागे तमन्नाए नशात, तू हो और आप बस सद रंगे गुलिस्ता होना. We have covered this ghazal. It is ghazal 18. This is the sixth couplet or sixth sher from the ghazal. The approximate translation is, Ghalib is saying to the beloved, beloved, I'm gonna take the scars of my desires for joy, nashat, right? Tamannai nashat, desires for joy, with me to my grave. And since they are scars, that means these were unfulfilled desires of joy. And you, beloved, stay in this world, stay alive, and enjoy the hundreds of colors available of joy to you. So that takes care of nashat. Kar, on the other hand, it's pretty much a verb. It denotes an action, a plan for action, work done during action, also can be used for achievements, performance, and job. So Nashaat-e-Kar, actions, work, plans that will lead to joy. So that takes care of the keywords. Now let's move into the impression. Havas ko hai nashaat-e-kar kya kya. Now, as we covered in the translation, Hawas is lust, desire, greed, which is insatiable, unstoppable, inextinguishable. And in this couplet, it almost seems that Ghalib is personifying this emotion of Hawas. That is why the tiny red man on it, right? So he is personifying this emotion of lust and desire. It almost seems that Ghalib is saying lust and desire as a person sits and thinks and imagines innumerable, kya, right? Innumerable acts and actions, kar, that would bring it joy, which is nashaat. So, lust and desire is someone that sits and plans and imagines multitude of actions that will give it or bring to it joy, satisfaction, contentment, pleasure. And the second line, ना हो मरना तो जीने का मजा क्या. Simply put, Ghalib is saying, if one wasn't to die, what joy would living hold? And this is where Ghalib attributes the joy of living to the fact that we will die. Very thought-provoking. Very thought-provoking, very contradictory to our usual perception of life and death. The usual perception of life and death is life brings joy, death brings sorrow. Life brings pleasure, death brings grief, separation, right? But here we see Ghalib saying exactly the opposite. Here we see Ghalib saying that you only are able to savor life as something beautiful, something precious, something unique, primarily because you are sure of the fact that this life will get over, that this life comes with a time limit, that one day this life will be taken away from you by death. And after reading the second line, suddenly the first line also takes up an additional meaning, right? Now, Hawas does not come across simply as lust or desire or greed. Now, Hawas comes across as something more encompassing. Now, Hawas comes across as zest for life, greed for life, this unstoppable, greedy force of life, this insatiable zest for life that it always keeps wanting joy, satisfaction, contentment. Ghalib here is saying that life as a driving force greedily wants and plans many things for its joy, satisfaction, and contentment. But attaining of this joy, satisfaction, and contentment rests on one irrefutable fact: death. And once again, in this couplet, Ghalib has gone ahead and broken down another typical archetype. And this time it is that of death. Death usually is picturized as something bad, something evil, something scary, something that we should shun away, something we should keep away, we should avoid it. But Ghalib says death should be glorified. And that is what is so unique about this couplet from Ghalib. For Ghalib, death is what injects the vigor, the zest, the passion into the unquenchable, unstoppable pace of life. And if we were to remove death from this whole equation, contrary to the popular belief that everyone would love living on and on and on, the fact of the matter is that life, its zest, lust, and passion would fall flat on its face without death. अब जिंदगी और मौत तो बहुत बड़ी बड़ी बातें हैं. कुछ छोटे एग्जाम्पल्स अगर हम लोग सोचें, just to hypothesize whether what Ghalib is saying actually makes sense. तो छोटे एग्जाम्पल्स में मूवीज, राइट? अगर कोई बहुत अच्छी मूवी है, if we go to a movie which is very good, scene after scene good, but does not have an end, does not have a climax, will we come back satisfied from that movie? In fact, would we even start a movie like that, which will just keep going on and on? It will have no end, it will have no climax. Same goes for a musical piece. Would we actually enjoy a musical piece which does not build up to its crescendo, which does not build up to its peak? अपने गजल का ही एग्जाम्पल ले रहे थे, right? Would we enjoy a ghazal which goes on and on and on and on? चाहे शेर कितने भी अच्छे हों, will we be interested in a ghazal जिसका मक्ता नहीं है? Something to end it on a high note, on a penultimate note, right? So it seems that yes, the end is very important to enjoy the entire process. End is the only position where you can stand and look at the entire process in totality, and hence becomes the only position where you can appreciate, enjoy, savor, and grasp the entire process in its totality. ये ऑब्जर्वेशन आपको प्रोसेस के बीच में नहीं मिल सकता और प्रोसेस के शुरू में नहीं मिल सकता. You have to be at the end to grasp the complete essence of the experience. And that is what Ghalib is capturing here. And Ghalib का ये नहीं था कि वो सिर्फ डेथ को बुरा नहीं कहते थे. He went beyond that. वो ना सिर्फ डेथ को बुरा नहीं कहते थे, वो डेथ को अच्छा कहते थे. Again, something very counterintuitive, right? We are not used to this. We are not used to praising death. We are not used to desiring death. We are not used to waiting for death. We are not used to giving death any credit for anything good. But according to Ghalib, that's not correct. Ghalib glorifies death as a privilege bestowed only on humans. आप उनका ये शेर देखिए, लज्जत से नहीं खाली जानों का खपा जाना, लज्जत से नहीं खाली जानों का खपा जाना, कब खिज़्र और मसीहा ने मरने का मजा जाना. So the approximate translation is that the destruction, the ending, the extinction of lives is not without joy, is not devoid of flavor and contentment and pleasure. This is not the flavor, contentment or pleasure that any Khizr or Messiah will ever experience. So खुदा ने ये चीज, ये प्रिविलेज सिर्फ इंसानों के लिए रखा है. ये फरिश्तों को नहीं दिया है. It's not meant for the prophets. It's not meant for the Messiah. It is only meant for humans. कि मौत का आप ये मजा लें. एंड यही जज्बात मीर तकी मीर के इस शेर में है. मुस्तालिक उसके इश्क के जाने हैं कदरे मर्ग, मुस्तालिक उसके इश्क के जाने हैं कदरे मर्ग, ईसा और खिज़्र को है मजा कब वफात का. So the approximate translation is, the ones who get destroyed, the ones who die in the passion for their beloved are the only ones who get to appreciate the value of death, get to appreciate the joy of death. On the other hand, Isa and Khizr, will they ever know this pleasure? By extension, they will never know this pleasure. They will never experience this joy, because this privilege, this honor, this joy is only reserved for human beings. And Shah Hatim का ये शेर, फकीरों से सुना है हमने हातिम, फकीरों से सुना है हमने हातिम, मजा जीने में मर जाने में देखा. So the approximate translation is, Hatim, from the fakirs, by extension sages, wise ones, we have heard that the relish, the joy, the satisfaction, the pleasure of living they only experienced in dying. When they were dying, that is the point in time when they, in totality, for the first time, experienced and felt the joy and the pleasure of living. And इस शेर में ऐसा लगता है, बात तो गालिब ने बहुत बड़ी कही है, उसमें तो कोई दो राय नहीं है, बट जिस तरह से गालिब ने अपना परसेप्शन अबाउट डेथ हमारे साथ शेयर किया है, इट इज सो कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी टू हाउ वी परसीव डेथ. अकॉर्डिंग टू गालिब, the race of life, despite all the prep, despite all the props, would lose its meaning if there was no finish line of death. We only enjoy running the race of life, जो कि यहाँ पे हवस कहा गया है जिसे, so much. We only enjoy running this race of life so much because of the finish line, जिसको यहाँ पे मरना कहा गया है. Without this finish line, this race just becomes a continuous loop of futile activity, a mechanical routine, without anything to inject zeal or passion or zest in it. आप सोच लीजिए, अगर फिनिश लाइन नहीं होगी तो जो दौड़ रहा है, what will he run towards? What will he run to? He will run to nothing. Run to nothing. Work towards nothing. You remove the finish line and suddenly your journey is meaningless. Your journey is towards nothing. It is the finish line that gives the journey a meaning. बहुत ही प्यारा शेर है. And that takes care of हवस को है नशाते कार क्या क्या, ना हो मरना तो जीने का मजा क्या. Let's move on to the second couplet. तजाहुल पेशगी से मुद्दा क्या, तजाहुल पेशगी से मुद्दा क्या, कहाँ तक ए सरापा नाज क्या क्या. So let's do a quick translation. Tajaahul Peshgi se mudda kya? What is the objective of this proactive indifference? And we will get into the words in a bit. And second line, kahan tak hai sarapa naaz kya kya? Till when? To what extent? Oh, head to toe embodiment of grace, will you keep saying kya kya? So the first keyword, tajahul. Tajahul means ignorance, indifference, inattention. And for all these, the underlying specific quality is that it is fake, it is false, it is a pretense, it is feigned, right? So you are not actually ignorant or indifferent to someone, you are faking to be ignorant, indifferent to someone. And इस पर बेखुद दहलवी का ये शेर, उन्हें तो सितम का मजा पड़ गया है, उन्हें तो सितम का मजा पड़ गया है, कहाँ का तजाहुल कहाँ का तगाफुल. So अच्छा शेर है. The approximate translation is, the beloved now has developed a taste for torture, right? Now she has developed a taste for torture. Doesn't matter whether it comes through tajahul, which is fake ignorance, or tagaful, which is fake negligence, right? So either of the tools will work, but she will use whatever she wants to use because now she has developed a taste for torturing me. Moving on to the next word, peshgi. So peshgi is in advance, in anticipation, prepayment, right? Sorry, that should not have gone. Okay. We will continue with this. So Peshgi was in advance, in anticipation, prepayment. The slide has moved, I'm sorry. And now moving on to Muddaa, which translates to objective, purpose, motivation, intention. मुद्दा के लिए अपने मिर्जा गालिब का बहुत प्यारा शेर है, मैं भी मुंह में ज़ुबान रखता हूं, काश पूछो कि मुद्दा क्या है. So the approximate translation is that I also have a tongue in my mouth. I also can speak. I just wish you would ask. What is the objective? What is the purpose? What is your motivation, Ghalib, towards me? So that takes care of all the keywords in the second couplet. Now we will get into the impression of the second couplet. Now, for that, this time we decided to take a very new approach for the impression. And the approach is that we decided to do a side-by-side comparison of this couplet with another couplet. We have covered that one too. Because both the couplets, in our humble opinion, follow pretty much the exact theme. And we thought that watching them side by side would just add to the enjoyment. It would just add to your experience of understanding today's couplet. So let's get into that. So आज का शेर है गजल 22 couplet 2. तजाहुल पेशगी से मुद्दा क्या, कहाँ तक ए सरापा नाज क्या क्या. And the couplet we are going to compare it with is from Ghazal 20. Again, couplet 2. बेनियाजी हद से गुजरी, बंदा परवर कब तलक, हम कहेंगे हाले दिल और आप फरमावेंगे क्या. So, you can see the tiny numbers. Those are the comparators. Those are the things we are comparing. So, let's pick number 1. Number 1, अपनी गजल 20 में बंदा परवर, गजल 22 में सरापा नाज. Endearments for the beloved. Not your general, normal, formal type of endearments for the beloved. Very thought out, very specific, very special endearments that Ghalib comes up with to address the beloved. So Banda Parvar, my nourisher, my protector, my all in all, my God, right? बहुत ही revered endearment है Banda Parvar. And Saraapa Naaz, Saraapa head to toe, Naaz grace, airs, right? So from head to toe, somebody who is very graceful, full of airs, जिसका negative or positive connotation दोनों हो सकता है, but all in all somebody बहुत अदा वाली, सर से पांव तक अदा से भरी. So the endearments are the first commonality we see in both the couplets. The second one is where Ghalib highlights a specific quality of the beloved, a specific behavior of the beloved, a behavior which is, in our humble opinion, unfair, unfair towards the lover, a behavior that is painful for the lover, a behavior that tests the patience and the passion of the lover. So, Ghazal 20 में बेनियाजी and Ghazal 22 में tajahul. Tajahul is feigned, fake ignorance, indifference. Beniyazi is actual indifference. Moving on to the third commonality. Ghalib in both ghazals identifies and acknowledges beloved's behavior. Beniyazi, tajahul. But in neither of the couplets, Ghalib ridicules the beloved or judges the beloved for these behaviors. Neither does he ask the beloved to stop these behaviors. True to his style, Ghalib does not get into the how and why of the behavior the beloved is showing. What Ghalib gets into is when. What Ghalib gets into is when. In both the ghazals, What he asks the beloved is, how long? Kab talak, kahan tak? Number 3. How long do you plan to continue with this behavior of beniyazi and tajahul towards me? Dear beloved, just give me a timeline. That's all. I will adjust accordingly. Because I will then, basis the timeline you give me, wait patiently for you to drop these behaviors of beniyazi and tajahul. And in this, one can almost see Ghalib's confidence, right? The confidence Ghalib has in his determination, in his consistency, in this 100% pure, unadulterated love. He showers on the beloved. He believes, he is confident that all this will one day make the beloved change her attitude towards him. And now moving on to the last commonality, the fourth factor, क्या? अब पहली गजल में, गजल 20 में क्या एक बार यूज किया है, गजल 22 में क्या 2 बार यूज किया है. बट जब भी गालिब इस क्या को यूज करते हैं, he uses it for scenarios where he wants to capture multiple scenarios, multiple options, multiple situations, multiple responses, right? And that is where he very cleverly, very deftly will weave in the kya, leaving it to the reader to interpret whichever kya they want to interpret. And that is where we as readers go in like these multiple directions, trying to figure out the $1,000,000 question. Ye kya hai? What does Ghalib mean when he says kya? So Ghazal 20 ke impression mein, we went through 2, 3, 4 possible scenarios of kya. The same will pretty much apply to Ghazal 22. So pehla scenario kya ka tha? Surprise. Ghalib pours out his heart to the beloved, and the beloved, out of sheer surprise on hearing what Ghalib is saying, goes kya? Kya, which translates to what? What are you saying? I had no idea, right? Dusra kya ho sakta hai? After hearing what Ghalib has said, the second type of response could be that the beloved is angry. So she goes, what? What are you saying? Right? When did this happen? How can you harbor these feelings? How can you have this type of future in mind for both of us? And of course, the anger could probably be followed by a scolding. And again, kya, right? With anger and in the process of scolding the lover after hearing what he has said. Another kya could be a kya which is very indifferent, just disinterested in what Ghalib has said, just disinterested in the entire pouring out of the heart that Ghalib has done. And once he's done, the beloved just goes, kya? What? What were you saying? Didn't get it. Total disinterest. And then the last kya could be a genuine what? A what which is said as a question, right? What are you saying? Can you explain to me what you are saying? I'm not able to understand. A genuine question. So, like I said, क्या गालिब का एक बहुत फेवरेट वर्ड है, बहुत तरीकों से उसको यूज़ करते हैं. ये तो सब हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किए. इनका एक और ये जो शेर बहुत फेमस आपने सुना होगा, हर एक बात पे कहते हो तुम कि तू क्या है, तुम ही कहो कि ये अंदाज़े गुफ्तगू क्या है. So the approximate translation is, Ghalib says to the beloved, whatever I say, all you have to say to that is, what are you? Who are you? What do you think you are? You tell me, beloved, what kind of style of communication is this? Is this all you have to say to everything I say? So, क्या को तो गालिब ने इतनी सूरतें दी हैं कि उनको एक जगह को लेट करना आई थिंक इज इम्पॉसिबल. हमको जहाँ जहाँ जिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में जितने क्या मिलेंगे, we will keep going through them as part of our episodes. So basically, we can see that Tajaahul-Peshgi se Muddaa kya, Ghalib is asking a question to the beloved. That beloved, this proactive, in advance Peshgi, right? Pretense of ignorance, inattention, and almost negligence, which is Tajahul, that you send my way. What exactly is your objective, Mudda? What do you want to achieve from it? And well, what is beloved's Mudda? What is beloved's objective? We cannot know. Only the beloved knows. But we can definitely speculate basis our understanding and exposure to Diwan-e-Ghalib. So, दो टाइप के मुद्दे दिमाग में आते हैं. पहला मुद्दा, beloved might fake this negligence and indifference to make Ghalib put even more effort in grabbing her attention, because deep down, in secret, she enjoys it. She enjoys when Ghalib puts effort. And the more Ghalib puts effort, the more she enjoys it. So, the second mudda could be that the beloved is faking this negligence and indifference to discourage Ghalib from continuing efforts in grabbing her attention and ultimately leaving the beloved alone. Now, again, from what we have read so far in Diwan-e-Ghalib, we don't think the second one is the probable mudda. The highest probability is the first one, where the beloved just wants Ghalib to put in more and more and more effort in grabbing her attention, because deep down she enjoys it. And then in the second line, right, Ghalib says, Kahan tak e Saraapa Naaz kya kya? You, who is head to foot an embodiment of grace and airs, to what extent, for how long do you plan to keep saying what to everything I say? And गालिब, आप देखिए, दोनों लाइनों में सवाल पूछ रहे हैं. पहली लाइन भी एक सवाल है, दूसरी लाइन भी एक सवाल है. तजाहुल पेशगी से मुद्दा क्या? कहाँ तक ए सरापा नाज क्या क्या? So both lines are questions to the beloved. But we know Ghalib, right? We know Ghalib, and we know Ghalib's questions very well. We know that Ghalib, in his unique style, will always have the answer hidden in the questions, usually. So यहाँ पर भी ऐसा लगता है कि दो सवाल वो पूछ रहे हैं, अंडरलाइंग उसका जवाब भी दे रहे हैं beloved को. That dear beloved, ए सरापा नाज, save your effort towards this mudda that you have, because whatever your mudda might be, you will fail in it. You will not be able to achieve it. And why is that? Because I, as your lover, do not plan to change either my speech or my action towards you. So आप इतनी मेहनत कर रहे हो, हम कुछ कहें उससे पहले ही आप इतना ज़्यादा तजाहुल दिखा देते हो पेशगी में, राइट? इतना हम पे इम्प्रेस करते हो कि आप इंटरेस्टेड नहीं हो, इग्नोर करते हो हमको, इनडिफरेंस दिखाते हो हमारी तरफ. ये सब ठीक है, बट फैक्ट ऑफ द मैटर इज कि आपकी ये सारी चीज़ें, ये पूरे का पूरा तजाहुल पेशगी जो है, ये हमको डेटर तो करेगा नहीं, हमको कन्विंस नहीं करेगा टू चेंज आवर कोर्स. तो ए सरापा नाज, सेव योर एफर्ट, save this effort of Tajaahul-Peshgi towards your mudda, because it's not going to work. My course of words and my course of action will remain unchanged. So that takes care of Tajaahul-Peshgi se mudda kya, kahan tak ए सरापा नाज, kya kya. I hope you enjoyed the impression. Let us know via comments what you thought of the episode from today. Let us know your feedback about the side by side comparisons we did of the two couplets. That was something new we did. We are very keen to hear your feedback on that too. If you know somebody who will enjoy this content, do share it via your social media. Now, for the new viewers, as always, a very strong recommendation to access the episode Introduction to TGMC. That will give you a good insight into the objective and the motivation, inspiration behind this podcast. Visit the homepage of the channel. It has all the playlists dedicated to various topics, and feel free to surf through them and pick a topic that interests you. Now I'm going to go ahead and close this episode. I'm sending a lot of love and light to all you dear viewers, and thanks for watching.